guys, and welcome to another episode of the Carp Angler Chronicles. My name's Pete, and I'm here with my very good friend Sam. How you doing, Sam?
I'm good, buddy. I'm good. It doesn't feel that long ago that we recorded our last one.
No, this is good. This is what we needed to do. We had a very, very long break. But now we can hopefully get the ball rolling and keep a bit of regular content coming out.
Yeah, absolutely, buddy. Absolutely. I didn't ask you actually before we hit record. Are you having a little traditional drink with this podcast or not?
I'm actually not. I have a bottle of water, mate, because as you know, I have been pretty ill the last week. Bit of man flu, and I'm still struggling with a cough, so I'm not risking it.
Not risking it. Don't blame you, mate. Don't blame you.
No. And yours?
Mine is, it's a mistake. I can tell you that much. I've got a bottle of Haig Scottish whiskey. Mm-hmm. Never had it before. I'm quite into my whiskies. I don't know if you know that. And yeah, I've never had it. I mean, I knew it wasn't going to be a phenomenal whiskey or anything like that. But I thought I'd give it a go. It's terrible, mate. It's really bad. It's the weakest tasting whiskey I've ever tasted. It's full percent, 40%. But it's just weak. It's quite sweet. It's an easy drinking whiskey. Be a good whiskey for someone that didn't really like whiskey, if you know what I mean. But it's just unrefined, real kind of ethanol-y kind of taste to it. I'm by no means a whiskey buff, but I know a good whiskey and a bad whiskey. This is a bad whiskey. Apologies if anyone works for Haig or anything that's listening, but it's terrible, mate. Worst whiskey I've ever tasted. Put it out there.
You're just gonna battle through it.
Yeah, I'm gonna battle through it. I've got some ginger ale that I'm mixing it with. Just
nice.
To I'll sink a couple and then I'll just be oblivious to it. I'll just be chilling it. So
sure,
absolutely fine. What's new?
Do you ever go for it? I was going to ask if you ever go for a ginger wine.
A ginger wine?
Yeah, Stone's ginger wine with whiskey.
No, I don't. Do you know that's so weird? You forget about things, don't you? I totally forgot about Stone's ginger wine. I used to love that stuff. My dad used to. My dad was into whiskey. He just had. I think he just used to drink Bell's, like real. Yeah, it's a cheap whiskey. It's not a good whiskey, but he used to drink it a lot. Yeah, he used to have Stone's sometimes. I haven't had that for a long time. But no, I don't really put mixers in my whiskey. I have it with ice. Mm-hmm. And that's it. I don't really add anything else to it. I just I don't really have it as like a session drink. I don't actually drink much these days at all. But I just have it as a like aperitif or something like that. Yeah. No, mate. How about yourself?
Drink wise, I drink a lot of gin nowadays. Just gin. I love my gin. Different kinds, flavoured gins. I got really into like the different orange flavoured gins. There's a local one. It's distilled in Newquay, I think, called Frog's Lips. But they do like a blood orange gin. And that's really nice. I was enjoying that. Especially I find the orange gins. If you get an elderflower tonic, it goes incredibly well.
Ooh. I tell you what, I don't mind a good gin, and I like the Fever Tree Mediterranean tonic. Yeah, that
I know it.
You know it well, right? Do you like it?
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah, I like that.
My mum has it. My mum's into it.
That with some Monkey 47, some ice, little bit of cucumber. I like that. That's a nice.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a little bit light in the toes, if you know what I mean. A bit girly. But it's a nice drink. I like that. Yeah, I don't mind gin. I went for a phase of like having all the different gins, and you know, it's like you spend a fortune, don't you, trying the different ones. But yeah, whiskey nowadays, mate, I've matured like a fine wine.
Manly, pretty manly.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm all about. So yeah, like a good whiskey, and then to be honest, you can't beat a beer, can you? I love beer, as you know it. I used to be mad on the beer, didn't I? Yeah, still
absolute beer monster.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, still love a beer, but I just enjoy the one or two of them rather than anything too heavy. So yeah. Anyway, what's new with you, buddy? In the world of angling or outside the world of angling? I know you've been ill for a bit. Have you managed to get out on the bank either to do a bit of fishing or baiting up or anything else?
No, I think so. Last time we spoke podcast-wise, I sort of mentioned I'd applied for a ticket to a local club, which I've got, and yeah, I've sort of walked around a few of the lakes. Got a bit of a carpy fix. We've had so much rain. There's a lot of water in them, so it's sort of it's made getting around some of them a bit tricky. But yeah, it's been nice sort of getting an idea for it. But I haven't sort of wet a line as yet. You sent me a few photos today, which I think was something you wanted to chat about. But have you done any fishing, or have you just been sort of?
No, I've not, mate. I managed to make a bit of time earlier today, and I had a walk around a lake that I might be fishing it on Sunday. I've got some time free on Sunday, so I'm gonna fish somewhere. I might well go there. But I was walking around it, and you're not really supposed to be there, really, in a way.
Okay,
that sounds bad, but it's all above board. It's not, I'm not like trespassing on a private fishery or anything like that. It's probably not as bad as it sounds, but you're not really supposed to be there. Certainly not in this part of it. And it just felt good. I kind of had it in my mind that I would like do the odd bit of winter fishing there. And and I turned up, and someone's clearly been doing a little bit of swim modifications, or more to the point, making a swim out of nothing, like this little area. They've done it, fairly okay. So I'm like, oh fuck, like I can't do it now because I'm, do you know what I mean? I'm someone's beat me to it basically. So I don't want to go there and tread on anyone's toes. Which is a bit of a bummer because I was quite up for it. I kind of fancied my chances. What with the lake it's a funny old place. There's 5 islands on it, and the islands make up. How do I put it? They make up more. So if you looked at the parameter of the lake, and then looked at the body of water, there's more islands than there is water. If that makes sense. There's 5 of these islands. Yeah, real unique place. I don't think. I can't imagine many people know about it at all. So, and it's kind of like a natural place of scientific beauty, or I can't remember the exact term. This area, I was like, hey, this is probably going to be good. And someone's beat me to it, and they've obviously carved out a little area, and they're obviously they obviously have been campaigning it, which has totally scuppered my plans. Obviously, I'm not going to go and drop in there now, because that's just not cricket. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do, to be honest. I might pop down to the water park, Cotswold Water Park, on Sunday and just fish one of the club waters. That's about it, mate. How about yourself? You've obviously been walking around. I think I know which one of the club waters you've been walking around. You managed to see anything?
Not a thing. No.
Anyone else angling?
I mean, yeah, I've seen a few people around angling. The water's just, we've had so much rain. The water's really sort of coloured. So sort of like spotting anything's been quite tricky, I guess. But but on the fishing front, it's all quite quiet from me. So yeah, there's nothing to report. One day, we're going to have our first ever capture we can talk about. Until that day, the guys listening will have to wait. It's embarrassing. It's a fishing podcast. Don't go fishing.
One day we'll actually go fishing. Yeah, we did do. I think we mentioned this on the last podcast. Actually, we did record a podcast on the bank. We were both fishing separate venues. I was in Cotswolds, Pete was in Cornwall. But apart from that, I haven't been fishing that many times. I think on the first podcast I was all like gearing up for like a winter of fairly regular fishing, and it's just not panned out like that. I think I mentioned on the other podcast, I own a gym and that's flooded twice, and I moved house as well, and it's just been like so much going on. I've just not managed to get out, but hoping to make a little bit more time going forward. I think you are as well, aren't you, mate? You're going to start making a bit more time.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I hope so. I've got to be honest. It's so my wife's just gone back to work. So we've had our third child, so she's going to a childminder sort of 1.5 days a week, and it's actually taken us it's hit us all quite hard, her going back. So it's just getting back into routine, and sort of quite scary how little time you have for yourself. You've got sort of a busy house and 3 kiddies, but yeah, no, I am. Especially as soon as the evenings start lightening up, which they are now, it's really noticeable. I'll be getting out there for sure and sort of doing my little bit. But sort of on a fishing front, you've been a bit proactive this week. I saw the Instagram story. You've been asking for advice on a brolly, so you've got to be warming up to getting out there again.
Yeah, I've got so the brolly I've got at the minute, because I'm a brolly angler. I don't really like bivvies. I've had different bivvies before. I've had tons of different bivvies and brollies. I just seem to chew through them. But yeah, I'm a brolly guy. The brolly I've got at a minute is Pete. You know what it is? It's Nash. It's the real small Nash one. What's that called? Is it Scope?
Oh yeah.
Or is it? Yeah, it's
no. It is. It's because I had it. It's a
it's
Scope. It's the Recon Scope Recon.
Tiny little thing.
Tiny.
Yeah, I've had like 50-inch brollies in the past, and I'm happy in a 50-inch brolly. Like I am. I have them set really low anyway, which gives you a bit more room, and you can just about squeeze your bed chair in, and you know your end of your bed chair, your sleeping bag might be touching the end, but if I've got like a waterproof bag, it's all fine. Basically, I'm happy to be crunched up in a 50-inch. Doesn't bother me at all. But this little Nash thing is like next level. I don't know what it would be, like 40-inch or something. I don't know what the stats are, but it's too small. Like even for me, especially as I'm getting a bit older now. You know, it's too hardcore for me, mate. It's too small. I don't want my face hanging out of the brolly.
Have you done any nights underneath it?
No, I wouldn't do a night under that. I haven't had it long at all. I think I got it in December sometime. No, I haven't, mate. But so yeah. Anyway, been on the market for a new brolly, which I've got now, which is cool.
You got it?
Yeah. I got it. Yeah, I got the purely because you said you didn't like it. I got the ESP Hideout.
Nice.
Yeah,
and that's is it the system or the brolly?
It's a system, but so the front is like fixed in, if you like. Obviously, it's got a door, but you know most brolly systems, you unzip the front and then it becomes just a standard brolly.
Yeah.
This doesn't have the front that you unzip. Yeah, but because
I didn't think you'd like that.
No, well, neither did I. But here's the thing. It's a very thin material, which, you know, yes, I know some would say, well, it's not as good because it's thin, but whatever, it's waterproof, it's fine. You can just roll it back and it's like next to nothing. So you roll it back, it's a normal brolly. And then the slides, you know, the front just flips out if you need it. Now, because I'm going to be fishing up here in the water park, Cotswold Water Park, the mozzie situation up here. You all right? You coughing?
Sorry, yeah. Carry on, mate.
I don't know if it was loud for the listeners, but it was really loud for me. Because I'm going to be fishing up here in the water park, Cotswold Water Park. The mozzie situation up here is insane. Right? They are like next level mosquitoes. And ever since I was like mid-20s, or late 20s maybe, I don't know, something like that. I just been like a mozzie magnet, and they absolutely annihilate me. So yeah, anyway, long story short, it needed to have a front. The days of just going open brolly are gone for me, unfortunately. Certainly in the summer anyway. So yeah, that's what I went for, long story short. I like the fact that you don't need all these storm poles. It's obviously got those 2 extending ribs that come out to the front, so it's freestanding in a way. You just peg it in, and supposedly most of the time you don't need storm poles with it. which I like the idea of. And yeah, it's £200 with a free Mozzie front.
It'd be nice to have a bit of honest feedback, I guess.
Yeah.
I recently got rid of my old Witchwood brolly, so I think you'll remember that one. It was on the original sort of HD brollies that they brought out. I think they were the first one that had like the fiberglass poles rather than the old steel poles.
Yeah.
Or the spokes.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so I was a bit sad to see it go. I mean, I'd done hundreds and hundreds of nights under that. But it was in a sorry state, to be honest. It leaked like a sieve.
Yeah.
It was uncomfy doing nights in there. And as you know, you've given me some stick for it, but I got the Tempest brolly, which is all right. It's all right. It's
Tracker Tempest.
just confused. It's not a bivvy. It's not a brolly, but it goes up quick. It gives you loads of space. It's actually really nice not having like the spokes. Although I miss the spokes because the spokes were great for sort of sticking some clothes up in. And I'll tell you what, the other thing I used to do with the spokes, if it was, especially like in the winter, I used to like download like some movies or whatever on my phone, and then I'd like get a jumper or something in the spokes and then prop my phone in there so you could just lie down in the bed and watch a movie or something. So I used to do that, but I can't do that anymore with the spokeless Tempest.
Yeah. All of the brollies these days seem to be this space-saving thing. So you can sit in there and look out. Yeah, I guess that's nice, but I mean, you that is nice. You're better off standing up and looking around, really. But that space to put like clothing is just, I don't know. I miss that a little bit. I like the space at the top. I think the best brolly
the space. Oh, go on. Sorry, dude.
No, that's all right. Go on.
I was gonna say I find the space saving poles. You got to put that screw the pole in, haven't you, to then erect the brolly? If that makes sense, because you haven't got like the centre bit to hold anymore because it's all part of that pole because it's so short. So I found that like a bit of a pain, like with your current brolly, the Nash one.
Yeah, I didn't bother with it. You can still do it.
Ooh, you're hard, man.
Got to have guns of steel.
Maybe I was lacking that.
Yeah. No, it's not even that hard. You can do it. You just put your hand behind the top thing and you can still do it.
Reach around.
Give it a reach around, Pete.
Yeah.
Like the good old days, eh?
So go on, what are you saying about the brolly spokes?
I can't remember.
I interrupted you.
Sorry.
I ruined it.
That's all right. I think, I like a big brolly spoke. I think that's all I was saying. Yeah. I like my brolly spokes hefty. Yeah,
we have cleared that up.
I tell you what, the best brolly I've ever owned was the. Do you remember that JRC brolly I had?
Stealth.
Was that what it was called?
Yeah.
Good brolly. I know it's not.
Yeah.
I know it's not cool or it's not fashionable. It's JRC But that was a good brolly. I like that. And that was the steel spokes. It had the low spokes. I know this is like exactly what people wouldn't want. I sound like I'm flipping all the marketers' spiel. But I liked it. It was good. Bomb-proof. That thing was absolutely bomb-proof. Yeah.
So we were gonna. I mentioned someone sent a question, so it's our first ever question. So it'd be kind of nice to. This is where we've got to be prepared. Oh. Do you know the name of the person?
No, I didn't even know we were going to do this. We had a couple of questions. Oh no, we had. Do you mean suggestion or is this question?
I think someone asked a question. I think it might have been with like the iTunes sort of reviews or something.
Oh, we've got another review. This is going to sound like it's so contrived, but it really isn't. I've just gone on to the Apple thing. Great listen, one of the very best out there. Please keep them coming.
Ooh, nice.
By Splashy Carper. Thank you so much for the review, but it only shows me the last review. No, it doesn't. So no Carp Ray has said, "Hi guys, great podcast. Keep up the amazing work. Would love to know your thought about bait as I roll and make my own liquids too. Thanks." I think he means he rolls bait and he wants to know about liquids. I think we started talking about liquids, and I think I was being selfish and not wanting to share my liquid stuff. Look, I tell you what, I will say, and I didn't realize you were going to spring this on me, Pete. So I'm off on the back foot a little bit. But with liquids, I think they are massively underused. I really, really do. I think we look at the different. We want to find that bait that's going to like really work and switch them on, or like let's get the best boilie or pop up or whatever it might be. And I think liquids get really neglected now. The people that don't neglect them, they might use them for maybe boilie soaks or particle as part of their particle liquid, things like that, which is great. But not many people just use liquids on their own, and that's something that I'm big into. And I've obviously dabbled with a lot in the past, and at the moment, it's something that it's something that I'm going to be using a lot of. I think liquids have got huge amount of mileage in them. Obviously, a big issue is keeping them in the swim for a long period of time. There's a multitude of ways you can get liquids out there into your swim, depending on where it is. If it's close range, you can use things like super soakers or pipes into the water. If it's long range, if it's PVA friendly, you can utilize PVA bags. And
wow,
there's other things you.
Sorry,
go on.
I just realised what you said about super soakers. It's just something I've never considered, genuinely.
Super soakers.
Yeah, I would love to see you on the bank.
Oh, mate, I've got
armed with your super soaker. I can't believe you said that. But yeah, carry on.
Mate, I used to use super soaker in Cornwall.
It's ridiculous. Sorry. Yeah, I
do you not remember?
The logic.
Yeah.
No, I can't remember. I can see the logic. And it just really took me by surprise.
Oh, mate, honestly, super soaker. You got to get a good one. I don't even know if super soaker, the actual brand, is still going. Best one I've got at the minute has got some flames up the side of it, and it's red and orange. So it's not.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not carpy. But in the same respect, if someone sees you messing, then they're not going to copy because they're just going to think you're a bit of an idiot, which is good because you don't want people copying you. So yeah, I mean, honestly, if you've got obviously you can't be, if you're fishing far away from the bank and you're not in a boat, obviously there's a limit to what the super soaker can do. But close range margin spots, you want to just get some liquid in there that can be really good. Particularly if you're, for example, watching some fish in the snags or near snags, or just watching fish anywhere that they could be. We've all seen this. They'll often they'll kind of swan off, no pun intended, and then they'll come back and they kind of, oftentimes if you can get high up enough in a tree, that they'll have a little pattern. You can see them, and it's not always exact, but you got a good idea when they go off, they're going to come back, right? When they do that, that's the time to get the super soaker out and and start squirting. Start getting that liquid in the water. And then it's good with a single hook bait because it's like they've got different senses going on, olfaction, senses, gustation. The different ways the carp senses food basically are going to be firing, but there's nothing really of substance there. It's that, what's that? That bait, and then they go down and then snaffle it up, and that's your hook bait. That's how I use it. Obviously, there's other ways to use it, but yeah, good old super soaker. Can't beat a good old super soaker.
I have never super soakered. No, I like it though. It made me chuckle.
You got to be careful on what liquid you use. You can't be putting out some L030 or anything like that in a super soaker.
No. No, it's got to be pretty viscous.
I'll tell you sorry, I'm just filling my drink up. I'll give everyone a good one to go on. One of the great liquids out there that I use, and it's very cheap.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be the one I was going to mention.
Oh, is it? Yeah. And by the way, I've got a I've got a carp and some other fish in a pond. It's actually at my mum's house. Dug this pond, and then not too long after got a carp in it, which is a whole other story, which maybe we'll tell sometime. But we have to leave a few bits out. But
we need to rehome that fish.
Yeah, I've been talking about that, and I think I know the perfect place, but because it's too big. It's had way too much protein. It's had too much good stuff. Anyway, yeah, from testing loads of different liquids, both in the testing pond and in my own fishing. A very good liquid that you can get, it's very inexpensive, is Squid Brand fish sauce. I think it's just called Squid Brand fish sauce.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, it's not as available as it was once upon a time, but you can still get it. I believe it's Tesco that sell it. Yeah, go in there. It's about £1.60, £2. I don't know. It's not much for like a litre bottle. Honestly, guys, yeah, that is very, very good. You can use it in a multitude of ways. You can use it, with particles. You can, dry your boilies out and soak them in it. You can use it in your stick mix, whatever. It's very, very good stuff. Very, very good stuff. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, that's how I've sort of used it in the past, is with sort of dried out baits and then rehydrating them with it.
Yeah.
Especially on silty waters, I think it's then your baits aren't soaking up any more of the silty smells if they're pumped full of that sauce so much.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. When they're doing that, they are pumping things out as well. But yeah, I know what you mean. But what I was going to say is, like, luckily for you, Pete, that liquid is really good in a super soaker because it's very thin. You want to make sure, like, here's a top tip for people who everyone's going to go out and buy super soakers now. Here's a top tip: once you blast that through, right, you want to do a second blast of just water. Ideally warm water if you can, but just any water, just lake water's fine, because it'll, like, in the tubes that go through it, like, the salt will crystallize and it'll dry, and it'll just leave this kind of gack in your super soaker tubes. So yeah, blast it through with some lake water or warm water after you use, and you're good to go. But yeah, that's a good liquid. It's a very good liquid, very inexpensive.
I might be completely wrong in saying this, but I think some sort of major sort of brand sort of bait suppliers, tackle suppliers have actually used that exact same sort of sauce, and it's just rebranded, isn't it?
I wasn't aware of that.
I believe so.
Not
Like shrimp extract or something. I believe it was sort of relabeled.
Wasn't aware of that.
But it could just be a rumour. That was just through chatting to somebody on one of the forums back in the day, that was.
All right, I'm not sure. Quite possibly. It wouldn't surprise me at all. Yeah. Oh, I tell you, actually, whilst we're on the topic of liquids, something else that I'll give everyone. I'm not literally going to give you the liquid. I'm just, give you a little tip. That liquid's very good. There's some other liquids that are obviously fantastic. Something I am really impressed with is in pond tests, at least, with the fish at my parents' house, is Baitworks Sea Stim liquid. I don't think I've mentioned this to you. Yeah, I went in there and picked up some bait. Oh, this was back in December, I guess, or November, maybe November, actually. And I saw the owner, Mark, in there, got chatting to him, probably like bored him to death with a load of bait talk, and I was just asking him a ridiculous amount of questions about his bait and different things, which he was very good about, and he answered all the questions and was really helpful. Anyway, he gave me some of this sea stim stuff, and he said, like, try that out on your test carp and see what you think. Honestly, that stuff is very, very good. It's amongst the best stuff I've tested. I would say. So yeah, just thought I'd mention. Those two liquids is something that I would start with. Obviously, you've got the obvious ones, which I won't mention. L030, that's not really available now. But there's similar replacements. Obviously, they're very good. But yeah, the Squid brand fish sauce is very good. And the Baitworks Sea Stim is also very, very good. It really switched the fish on when I put that in the pond. So yeah, I'm going to experiment with that stuff a little bit, along with some other bits.
I thought I held the record for your bait testing. I remember when I knocked up a little test batch of bait, and your fish went nuts for it. I don't know if you remember that.
No, I don't.
Don't, do you? Yeah, which is annoying because I sort of cling on to that.
What was it? A boilie or a paste or what?
Yeah, no, it was a boilie. It was It was
oh, yes, a bird food with. Did it have cream? Like was it? Did you use cream kajausa in it by Nutribaits? Was it something like that?
No.
Similar profile.
It was the it had a creamy flavour, and it had a sort of like a flavour enhancer from CC Moore. It's what's in Live System, that was in it.
I remember, yeah.
With sort of quite a few drops of black pepper oil as well.
Yes.
Yeah. That performed amazing on your fish, didn't it? But it actually was a bit of a flop, like fishing. I didn't have any luck with it. I did fish with it a lot, and I think confidence is a big thing, isn't it? I guess, and I don't think probably winter is a good time to be testing baits. I think that was the trouble, wasn't it? We were so into it, we were constantly sort of on the move.
Yeah.
So I tell you what. So we used to, me and Sam, we used to roll up. This was like 25k sort of at a time, wasn't it? 20 kilos, 25 kilos at a time. We had a production line, which we never mastered. And I was thinking about this the other day. Like, one of the reasons we never mastered it, this was my big bugbear, is you used to hate, and for good reason, I get it, but you used to want as little amount of egg sort of in that paste as possible. So you used to like
absolutely
a thick paste, and it would take forever to gun out. I mean, we had a big compressor, and the gun would just be struggling for each little sausage to come out. And then it would eat away at the bait tables. It was a nightmare to roll.
It was due to the other ingredients we had in it as well. But yeah, that was part of the problem. Yeah.
You like a stiff mix?
Mate, I like it stiff. It was just the ingredient. It's not necessarily that I like mixes that are stiff. It's more that I like... There was a certain combination of ingredients that we used that I liked that were stiff, if that makes sense. And yeah, don't like too much egg. You're binding your... I'm risking going off on one. But you're binding up all of this goodness in egg, right? Albumin, it makes it become far less attractive for the carp. And then there's ways around it, but on the whole, you want egg is look, I'm not saying it doesn't bring any nutritional value. It clearly does, but on the whole, it's a necessary evil, if that makes sense. In bait, I don't like it. I like pastes. Right now, I've got no interest in rolling bait. Again, it ties me in knots. I think in many ways it takes away the enjoyment of fishing and the likelihood of you catching, because this is what people don't understand. Everyone wants to like be a bait tester or make their own, but you are constantly putting something out there yourself, which you don't know if it works. You don't know how good it is. It can look great. You can have an amino spreadsheet that balances things. You could look into it, and on paper it can look like the best thing ever, the best thing since sweet corn. But when you go out there, you don't know if it's going to work or not. And it can really hamper your fishing. And for years, countless sessions, both me and I'm sure you, Pete, me and you, we've, gone out there and our priority was testing bait rather than catching fish. And it can, and it was almost like that was our hobby. Creating awesome bait was almost like the main thing in a weird way. It's weird, hard to explain unless you've ever been there. All of the bait rollers out there, I'm sure you totally get what I'm saying. I'm sure you're nodding your head. People that really seriously roll bait and design different bait. But yeah, it can take away from the enjoyment of it. Now, I have no interest in that. I'll mess with different liquids, mixing different liquids, and I will mess with pastes. But that's because I know what works and I know what doesn't work, and I know a few simple combinations of different powders bound together with some liquids to create a good paste. Certainly in a stalking environment is very, very hard to beat. But it's not like I'm, pioneering some new crazy stuff. I'm doing what I know works. Other than that, I'm just buying a rolled bait. That's where I am with it now.
Yeah, very much the same. I haven't got the time. It was we spent more time in that shed rolling bait than getting out there fishing.
Oh, yeah, exactly. What bait what do you fish with now, Pete? Are you boilie, paste? What are you on? Particle?
Yeah, I think we sort of discussed this in the first pod, but I've been fishing primarily boilie because like the day ticket waters I've been fishing, there's a lot of nuisance fish. But if I can get away with it, maize and sweet corn for me, if I can get away with it at the moment. But I had been using the A bait by Jason Ryder. I think you remember. I think you've used his bait in the past, haven't you, Sam?
I don't think so. I've exchanged some messages with him, and
so he's got a bait out anyway. Cool.
Oh, actually, yeah, I did. I did try some of his bait. Can't remember what it was, but it was black.
Is it a plum zing probably? That was one of his sort of most famous.
No, it wasn't. That was his main one. No, no, I don't think it's in production. The plum zing was his main one, wasn't it? And I don't know much about his bait, to be honest, but there was something else. It was black. I don't know what it was. Proper black as well.
So sort of like prior, especially sort of prior to third baby arriving, I was using this bait called the Wasp. All his baits are shelf life, which suits me to the ground now. Just easy. I don't have to worry about bait so much. I don't have to worry about getting out the freezer and drying it, making sure it's firm enough, etc. It was a good bait, to be honest. I had really, really good results on it. I have not got any at the moment, but certainly after payday this month, I am going to be putting an order in for for a few kilos. Yeah, and that's sort of what's going to be my go-to bait for approaching some of these club waters. Yeah, good. Got confident in it. So.
Yeah, fair enough. The load I had off him, I don't think I did very well on it. Not that that's to say it's a bad bait or anything. But yeah,
I think I remember that actually. But I think you were fishing an incredibly tricky water at the time.
Yeah, probably. But yeah, probably. Yeah, I mean, look, I probably shouldn't have said that actually. I'm sure it's a good bait. I didn't. Yeah, just because I didn't catch on it, or I probably caught on it but didn't catch much, or if it's the water I'm thinking of, I probably didn't catch actually. This is proper rock hard. But yeah, I'm sure he does good baits. I know you, Pete, you're very fussy with bait, as I am.
No, cool. So with your paste, are you sort of feeding paste? Would you pre-bait with paste?
Yeah, I would. I mean, the thing is with paste, I mean, the paste I'm using, they're going to be completely dissolved for the most part, except for there are some insoluble ingredients in there. You know, obviously they'll stick around, but they're pretty much, for all intents and purposes, they're broken down within a couple of hours. So it's best for stalking. You know, I wouldn't chuck them out and then, you know, get in my sleeping bag for the night. Obviously, it's just not the one. But yeah, for stalking, if I know fish are there, if I'm just leaving the rods out for a short period of time, then yeah, I'll use paste and I'll pre-bait in the same fashion. If I know fish are there, or if I know fish are going to be in there, they're going to frequent the area, I'll pre-bait with it. The nature of the paste that I use, it's not like you have to establish it. I think, you know, some baits, particularly boilies, it definitely helps to establish it, and particles as well. What when I say establish, I mean, get it going in on a regular basis so they are familiar seeing it. And that can be so powerful, particularly when they're not getting caught on it or they're not getting fished for on it. Because, look, carp aren't super intelligent, but they do pick your hook bait up and they do spit it out without you knowing about it. Matter of fact, I guarantee it. That happens. It's a fact, okay? So that they can become wary of things. So you want to, in my opinion, if you want to stack the odds in your favour, you want a bait to go in regularly without them having that experience of either getting caught on it or being fished for on it, if that makes sense. So yeah, I'll bang some paste into pre-bait. I have no problems with doing that. If nothing else, if the carp don't make it in time, well, maybe the natural food will come in. Maybe they'll come out of the silt or the gravel or the weed or whatever and feast on it because it's attractive to them as well. And maybe that will bring the carp in. So maybe the carp come in once it is all broke down and they can't swallow a mouthful of paste, but maybe the naturals are all there, the natural food, and they're all feasting on all the broken down parts. And so it's still a worthwhile thing to do, in my mind at least.
Sorry, my throat is.
You're dying.
I feel a tickle. Yeah, I've just. Do you know what, mate? It's like the cough. The cough hasn't even been the problem, but it's just like a real dry cough, and I get a little tickle. I can control it if I have a sip of water. Fading out. I keep hearing your whiskey bottle there, mate. How are you getting on?
Oh, mate, that's a good point. I've just looked. I am. Woo. Yeah.
Lubricated. We're ready for a Sam's rant. Something passionate is going to come out in a minute.
I've had a lot, actually. Yeah, so this whiskey is so bad. I mean, I was just going to leave it for cooking. I did a nice ox cheek braise last night, actually. I braised up some big slab of ox cheek.
Wow.
Yeah, with some onions. Like saute the onions down, mix the whiskey with them. Bring that down, put some stock in, bring it down, seal off the beef, put it in like a slow cooker, add more whiskey. It is a bit of a process. I've had some herbs and spices. And so yeah, anyway, I'm going to be using it for cooking, but I have just realised how much I've been drinking. Yeah, I'm well lubricated.
It's tasting all right now.
It's tasting fine. I'm mixing it with this diet fiery ginger beer. So it's going down well.
So yeah, you need to get the answers to the questions.
Yes, I do.
We've had a few.
Oh yeah.
We can.
I didn't know if we were doing.
We can have a little chat.
Okay, let's have a look. I'm on my wrong Instagram account. I'm on my health one. Yeah. So who did I mention? I mentioned Dom, didn't I? The Spodcast. If anyone, I imagine anyone that's listening to us surely listens to the Spodcast. But if for some crazy reason you don't, then you should do. The Spodcast. I think he was the second podcast to come along after the Carpcast. But yeah, you should definitely check it out if you don't. Yes, Dom said talk about the importance of being mobile and not taking extra kit. It's a good point. And something I've always done. I mean, I've always endeavoured to travel fairly light. Pete, I know you used to before you obviously got yourself a Tempest and some Nike Air Max, and started putting a baseball cap on backwards.
The whiskey is flowing.
It's what you do in a Tempest, isn't it?
Yeah, I think I've always sort of had a sort of philosophy of, well, recently I've been using the Barrow a lot, and I've not been travelling anywhere near as light as I should have. But especially in winter, I find you've got to have a few comforts. But one of my things, especially if you're travelling by foot, I always want to, whether I'm doing a night as well, if I can leave the car and get to my swim in one trip.
Yeah.
And I've always been a bit of a pack horse, just load myself up and just go. I'm sort of that's me kind of. If I can do my sort of my night my 2 nights or whatever, and do 1 trip from the car, I'm sort of happy. So I think it is important, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, everywhere you sort of you watch nowadays online and stuff, it's all about the importance of sort of seeing fish and get on the move, and but it's super important. And if you're packing light and you're not taking the extra gear, then you've got sort of every chance more of getting a few fish. But coming with that, you've got to be organised as well, because I think, speaking for all carp anglers, we've got so much gear. It's ridiculous, and so much, and just tackle boxes just get full and full and full. And I can say that every time I go fishing, I just look through my tackle box and I'm like, why? Like, why have you got all this? But then when it comes to clearing it out, I'm like, oh yeah, but I'm gonna need it. But I think you just got to be ruthless, haven't you, or organised at home. And then if you know that you're going on a session to a certain lake and you know how you're going to fish it, you can really sort of minimise the equipment you've got to take with you. I think you had a Cornish friend who was sort of big on minimalisation, didn't you?
Yeah, I was just going to say, actually, I'm actually just putting a post on Instagram right now. Just to try and get some more questions. Yeah, I was going to say, listen, I mean, I think I've always been pretty light. I don't know. Pete, you fish with me more than anyone else. I think I'm pretty minimalistic, pretty light. Am I?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I would say so. I'm light, bro. I just don't take much stuff. I don't really need much stuff. But I went fishing with a good all-round guy, Adam Roots. I think if he's not a social media guy, he's kind of old school guy, but he does actually do some writing for Hafes. Obviously, I'm sure you've all heard of Hafes, bird feed and ingredients. Hafes Robin Red. He does some writing for them. Yeah, I went up to, and I'd fished with him, obviously several different places, but we went up to Upper Tamar, and I said, look, if you think you can strip down what I'm bringing, by all means do it. And he just went through it and through my tackle box and everything, and completely gutted out. And compared to what he takes, he is a true minimalist in every sense of the word. I mean, I'm talking tarps and if you can get away with it, and all kinds of things. So yeah, I would consider myself, certainly by the average angler, I'm very light, but this guy's next level. He is he's super duper light. Yeah, I'm trying to talk and post on Instagram. It's really difficult.
To the point of sort of measuring out how many cups of water.
Oh yes.
How many cups of tea.
Oh yeah. He will. Okay, I'm doing a night. I need 2 teas or 3, whatever the number is. I don't know. He'll measure out the amount of water, and he's real anal with it. And it's almost like part of the enjoyment for him. He also does some I think he does bushcraft stuff. The whole packing down light.
Okay, so I can sort of on a general trip that I do. So I've got it's like an Avid rucksack. So the company Avid, and it's sort of like a big square rucksack, and then you can also clip your day chair sort of into the rucksack.
Okay.
So that's on your back. So I've got my rucksack's literally got everything in. I always take my kettle and my flask, or my kettle and my cup. I like to have a brew on the bank. It's part of the enjoyment for me. But then I've literally got in my bag, I've got my buzzer pouch, I've got my tackle box, I've got obviously my weigh scales. I don't really have anything sort of which isn't essential. I always carry a sack just in case, and then in my other little side pocket I've got just my bait bits and pieces, and rig wallet. So I don't carry anything sort of untoward as well. And actually last year I bought, you mentioned a tarp earlier, about your friend. I bought myself a tarp, which I did a surprising amount of research on, actually, because I wanted to just get one which was the right size. I didn't want to be messing about with it and cutting it, and
yeah.
And I did one night under my tarp, and got absolutely abused by rats. I just wished I had my brolly. But I think at the right venue, no, I love it. It's nothing better than just being sort of under the stars in a bed if you can. But the tarp was brilliant just for keeping off the condensation. Just to have one sort of corner of it elevated on a bank stick. Yeah. Have you got any more any more questions?
So another question we've got. Okay, so Phil has asked, or he said, talk more about baiting up in winter. I don't know what you mean totally by that, Phil. If it's pre-baiting in winter, then yeah, do it. You want to keep it going. You want to keep bait going in the water all year round, right? And obviously you want to vary it and maybe change the type of bait you're putting in, but really you don't want to break. If you're coming on to a new water in the midst of winter and you haven't kept a bait going on, then you'd want to bait differently than if you've been on a water all year. Then you need to keep that regularity of bait going in the water, and then the carp 9 times out of 10, they will keep moving and they will keep eating and they will keep on the move. But I think keeping the bait going in is the key thing there. That might be a bit unuseful for people at this time of year if they haven't been baiting up and they've just been fishing singles or something. But yeah, if I'm on a water all year round, I will keep that bait going in. And sure, I'll use less oily stuff, and I'll cut back the amount I bait in the colder months, but I'll still keep that bait going in. Phil, if you mean, what about baiting up just for a session? Let's take pre-baiting out of the equation. I'm going to do less of it in the winter. I will use, and it depends what you mean by bait. Again, I'm going to go on about liquids. You can get away with putting quite a bit of liquid in the winter, which you can't with, say, boilies or particle, because let's say you want a load of attraction in the water, right? And it's wintertime. Now, carp, they've got a slow metabolism, and they're not moving as fast, and obviously they're not eating as much. In the winter, they're not going to be snaffling that up very quick. So if you put a load of bait in, okay, you're causing some disturbance, you're causing a big attraction, but because they're not eating much, the chance of them picking up your hook bait is much, much less than if they were more active. Now with liquids, you can get a ton of attraction in the water, even in winter, and they're going to be switched on to feed and looking around. But if there's not the abundance of actual particles to pick up, they're going to find your hook bait far quicker. So it would depend. I guess my answer is baiting in winter depends what you're baiting with. I say go all in with liquids. And in fact, I say that all year round. Go all in with liquids. Not enough people are using liquids, and I'm like a broken record, but
Here's one for you, Sam.
Go on.
So, like winter time especially, so carp in particular in the winter time, you could be looking at a really short feeding period.
Yeah.
So I was literally thinking this just then. So with liquids, obviously you're putting the liquids in, that's going to disperse into the water. Do you think by fishing liquids you're more likely to get a fish to bite outside of that sort of unique feeding time, or would you really sort of say a lot of lakes, it's sort of depths of winter, you're looking at sort of 3 o'clock till 4 o'clock or 3:30 till 4? Do you know what I mean? That last sort of cusp of light before it starts going into dusk. Are you looking at sort of like, would you just sort of focus your approach then on just sort of like looking for if you know that's the bite time? Because I could just imagine sort of like wasted liquids in that instant. I can imagine sort of the carp's behaviour in the summer, the liquid scent, you're sort of going to get the fish more likely to have a bite sort of many times through the day. But in the winter, would you sort of have to pigeonhole to a certain time of day more specifically with liquids? Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
I think so. It's a huge question, and it depends, right? At the end of the day, carp are carp, and they have carp tendencies whether they are in the cold water or in the warm water, whether they're in the winter or in the summer, right? Their priority is survival, and an aspect of that is feeding. It's giving their bodies what it needs. Now, yeah, of course, there's many waters. In fact, most waters, they have their certain times where they almost switch on, and yeah, the carp are almost much more likely to feed there. Or I reckon most waters, certainly that I've fished, there's a certain time of year and a certain time of day. They're more likely to feed then. Maybe it's in the autumn. Oh, X water, they tends to switch on then. Maybe this water all year round, like, doesn't really do day bites, or it doesn't really do night, but whatever it is, like, they have their tendencies. And yeah, of course, like, pay attention to that stuff. But honestly, like, as long as there's carp in the water, it doesn't matter what freaking time of day it is, there is a chance they will be willing to feed. That is something you have to remember, right? I think a lot of people go wrong by, it doesn't do day bites, so I'm just like not going to bother and whatever. No, like, you telling me, right, that the carp in this water don't feed in the day? Absolute bullshit. So that there's always a chance. You never know what's going on. You never know what's going on with these fish. There's always a chance they're going to pick up a bait. On top of that, well, what happens if you present them with something that just switches something on within them that makes them really want to eat? Now, certainly in winter, this, in my opinion, becomes even more important because they're feeding a lot less in winter. Well, it stands to reason you've got to really give them something that they really want to eat. And there are things that they can lack and therefore crave in the winter, which you can use to your advantage. So I would say be aware. I think I'm answering your question. If I'm not, please tell me. But I would say be aware of, the potential feeding spells of your quarry, but also don't be a slave to it, right? If, like on Sunday, I can't do a night, right? I can get there early in the morning and then I have to leave around about 3:00. That's not ideal. It's not ideal for anywhere really. It's not that long there, but that's the amount of time I have to fish on that day. That's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to work hard whilst I'm there. And guess what? I fancy my chances, even though it is January. Because you have to, we only get the amount of time that we get, right? You only get the opportunities that you have. So you have to make the most of them. So don't be a slave to, this isn't a good bite time or whatever. Go out and make it happen for yourself. And then when it does happen, it's even more sweet, right?
Yeah, well, isn't it just? Yeah, this time of year. It's amazing.
Is that what you meant? Does that answer it or not really?
Yeah, my thing was sort of like just, I've not used liquids to the extent that you have, like with your Super Soaker talk earlier. But my thinking is just sort of when you're literally applying, we're talking liquids into the water column, over time they're sort of like dispersing. I think in the warmer months you're going to sort of have a quicker reaction from fish. Fish are going to be moving through that. They're moving around a lot more to come across it. And my thinking was in the winter, you sort of a bait on like a physical bait on the bottom's going to be there. Come that small time of the day that they're going to bite, that is going to be there. And I was thinking with the liquids, like you're suggesting, I guess it's just regular application. I guess.
Yeah,
because they're constantly going to be sort of going through the water column and sort of dispersing, and then I guess it's reapplying. That was just a little point. It just popped into my head when you were sort of discussing it, so I thought I'd sort of get in there and see what you had to say.
This is the I guess I alluded to this earlier. This is the problem with liquids. They can be short-lived unless you have a system which allows the liquid to be drip-fed into your swim. Yeah, there's ways of doing it, mate. If you think outside the box, you can develop something that allows for continual baiting of your liquid, which is, I've got a little system which I'm pretty damn happy with. It's not conventional. I think most people would, reel back in shock if I told them what I'm doing with it. But yeah, there's a couple of ways you can get a regular stream of liquid going in the water without disturbing that segment of water, which is a big key.
Yeah. Cool. So I think that's sort of covered that. So the next question, you were going through the questions.
Yeah, let me load it back up.
You got the next one loaded?
Got the next one loaded. Marija, probably saying that wrong. Apologies about that. Do you use pop-ups? Don't laugh.
I'll answer that.
Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
Mm-hmm.
But prefer more confident in the bottom bait. But I'd use pop-ups a lot, especially in the winter.
Yeah.
There we go. Answered.
Yep. I use pop-ups as well. Yeah. Next one isn't really a question. It's have you seen the Nash Titan hide? And then it's full stop thoughts ? Yeah, I've looked at it online. I think this is in reference to me asking for a brolly. Yeah, looked at it online. Sure, it's great. Not what I want.
So I've looked at the Titan hide as well. It's very similar to the Tempest, isn't it?
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah,
next.
Bit boring. That's it, mate. That's all we've got.
Oh, let's have a little look. We'll just see how long we've been going for.
1 minute 40 I've got, but I think we had a little break in that. Oh, tell you what, I was going to ask you actually, just swoop in at the end. What is your, and look, going forward, maybe we need to have like a little bit more structure with these podcasts. Maybe we'll do, what's been going on in the week, what our thoughts are. I don't know. We'll have some regularity to it. But for now, Pete, I want to ask you, and this is a tough one, and I'm springing it on you, but what is your most memorable carping or fishing in general memory?
Ooh.
Toughie.
Great question. Yeah. I can think of a couple. So, like my first fishing trip, my dad says I was 4. I must have been like 5, I reckon 6. I've got a photo of it as well somewhere.
You just presume your dad's wrong?
Yeah, I do, because of the fish like I caught and things. So basically he took me, the whole situation of this, he's always said I was like 4 years old, but first fishing trip, went with my dad to Constantine Bay, which is near Padstow in Cornwall, fishing from the shore into the surf for bass, and we were fishing with like lance, which are big sand eel, basically, for people who don't know. I remember we were using like a big sort of like a 4-0 or a 2-0 hook, something like that. And my first ever fish I caught on a massive lance and a big hook was a mullet in the surf.
Ooh.
Yeah, random, isn't it?
First fish you ever caught was a mullet.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a fish to catch on your first.
Yeah, bit of complete fluke as well. Like
good fighters.
Like, well, yeah, obviously. I remember reeling it in, and I remember, like, because I stood at the beach. So this is why I couldn't have been a 4-year-old, because my son's 5 now, and he couldn't reel a fish in for love nor money. And
he's your son, though, isn't he? Let's be honest, mate.
I'm rectifying that this year, by the way. We're getting out there. And I remember like reading it in, and just as the waves came in, it sort of I was reading it up the sand kind of thing on the beach, because I remember like my dad telling me, just like shouting at me to like stand back, and it came off, and I remember like the waves sort of like crashing in to sort of like come and rescue this fish, and my old man just like running after it and like jumping on it. But I've got a photo of me somewhere with this mullet at home. But yeah, it was a big fish as well. It was a big mullet. Fondest carp fishing memories, mate. I honestly think my fondest memory is involving you.
Oh,
fishing I think what we called the sort of like the weedy water.
You've got the same one as me. Yeah, go on.
This is this is romantic, isn't it?
Yeah.
It was your fish, wasn't it? I think. And
this is
I
something.
remember it was a mirror.
This is something different. Okay. Okay. Oh, plot
Mate,
twist.
there's so many
plot
memories
twist.
on this water. You'd sort of this fish had gone for one of the first fish from the lake. It got weeded up. I remember you just shouting for me like, "Get the boat, get the boat!" And I was there like, I don't want to get in the boat. I'm going to get in trouble here. It's like an old theme park, wasn't it? It was just a weird place. I remember sort of getting the boat, and I think like the oar was just like an old broken up bit of wood or something, wasn't it? Going out in the boat and sort of finding the fish and parting of the weed and just seeing like an amazingly beautiful scaly mirror sort of sat there in the weed. Yeah, can you remember that?
I do. If you were on the long, like the straight road bank, was it on the lilies on the left of that?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember, mate. I do remember that. That was good times. We had some really good memories there. Some very good times.
The fish in that lake were just, they were not the biggest fish in the world, but they fought like crazy, like insane.
Yeah. There was, but stunners. Yeah, the memories that I have from there. And you never knew what you were going to get in that place. Like, it was a real mixed bag. Just some stunning fish, stunning memories. It was funny you say that.
I remember like the tench, like you used to get some takes, and they'd be like taking the rods off the rest, and it'd be a tench. It was just, they were insane, weren't they?
Yeah. I've got a few. I would say I've got a joint 3 favourite angling memories. And the one I chose is at the same place, actually. So I was fishing this area that me and Pete called the lawn, because of the nature of it. And then there was this big fish for the lake, pretty much one of the biggest, we called it the gardener because it always came out on the lawn. Anyway, I was fishing there and I saw this fish activity on just further down the bank, which actually, funnily enough, was where Pete had his best memory from that lake, where we went out in the boat and parted the lilies and found that fish. Around there, I had I saw a lot of activity. I even put a bit of bait in there and saw it going on. Pete came down later that day and he was going to fish. And do you remember this?
Yeah, I'm surprised this is your fond memory. You were bitter.
No, it is, and I'll get to why it is, unless I'm confused, which is a possibility. But this is how I remember it, and how I choose to remember it, maybe. Anyway, there was this activity going down there. I was sticking to my guns. I was like, I had a target fish in the water, and I thought I had seen it where I was. I thought I had, but I wasn't sure. Anyway, so I was like, I want to stick to my gun. I don't want to move on those fish. I'm going to stick to my guns. I'm going to put Pete onto that area when he comes. So, help him out, whatever. He came down to the lake later than me, obviously. So he came to the lake. I was like, Pete, just down here on the other end of this bank. That there's been some activity. And Pete took my advice and he decided to plot up there. And then, it was late afternoon. Went into evening, we kind of met in the middle. We weren't fishing that far away from each other. Not at all, really. And yeah, Pete, out of the blue, Pete's rod just rattles off. And he's playing it, it's coming in. It's getting closer and closer. And it turns out the fish he's playing is my target fish. Bearing in mind, I've been fishing this place hard. I mean, look, Pete's
You were on your third day. You were on your third night, I remember.
There we go. And I was going all out for it. I was spending a lot of time at this lake. And as I said, I put him on this area. I was like, fish there. I think you should fish there. There's a lot of activity there. Anyway. And then it turns out he has managed to hook into this fish of mine that I dearly wanted to catch. Look, of course, Pete wanted to catch it as well. We were both there for that fish, amongst other things. But that was the main thing, right? That was the jewel. That was the prize. That was the lake's riches that we really wanted. And anyway, he's playing it, and I'm like, shit. I mean, on one hand, I'm thrilled for him because it's like he's got it. On the other hand, I'm like, well, I'm down here, like, you know, I'm down there most days, either putting baiting, doing many nights a week, and all this stuff, putting in mad effort. And my best mate, who I've put onto it, is playing the fish. It's bittersweet, you know. And anyway, he lands it, and we get the photos, and it looks amazing, and it's a gorgeous fish, and it looks mega out the water. I mean, you see it in the water, that's one thing. You see it out, and it's like, oh my god, it's got such presence, and it's just an amazing fish. And then he puts it back, and then, you know, it's the aftermath of it. You know, the fish has been returned, the photos have been taken, and we're, you know, sitting down, having a tea, maybe even having a beer at that point. And then he asked me to be best man at his upcoming wedding. And yeah, I'll always remember that. It touches me.
I remember it well. You like, it was almost like you grudgingly said yes.
It was bittersweet. I was chuffed for you, but sorely disappointed for myself because I'd spent so much time and effort there, and it's like, well, where do I go now? Funnily enough, I carried on fishing it, and several months later, I managed to catch that same fish in the winter, which I was happy with because it's hard to catch them in the winter, and I managed to get that fish in all its winter glory, which is really special. But yeah, that's my favourite memory.
Yeah, I think we were lucky there, mate. I think we were the last sort of.
We were.
It was that place was in a real transition, and we were the only ones on there fishing. We had that place to ourselves.
We had the bait guy, the bait company guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a few sort of local guys. One really who fished the local sort of closest sort of reservoir a lot. I know he had quite a few of the sort of like local sort of history sort of fish from there, and there was another chap who was quite a big guy. He used to roll his own bait as well. Don't know if you remember him.
Not the bait owner.
No. That was the chap who gave you the bait boat, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, that's my kind of thing, but yeah, he did, yeah.
Yeah, no, so, no, different guy, but we had it to ourselves, mate, and we were down there most evenings, and, yeah, it was, yeah, very fond memories. If you've been down there recently, it's we were very fortunate, mate. Yeah. It's completely different now. But yeah, there we go. It's our own little bit of history, I guess, wasn't it? It was decent. Good times.
Yeah, it was lovely, mate. Yeah, it was really nice. Yeah, I think, I almost feel like our next phase from that was the very deep pit. I think we've spoke about briefly earlier on earlier podcasts. Yeah, I think that was our next phase, but we never got to do it. I did a bit on it. Was lucky enough to get a fantastic result on it. Just life happened, I guess.
Yeah.
But I saw that as our next great adventure, and certainly a step up from the previous place. It's a real shame. Real shame it never came to fruition for us both.
What's that? Sorry.
It's a real shame we never got to have that next phase of our angling life together without sounding, you know, I did some time on it. You didn't do as much as you wanted. You went on somewhere else and it just never really happened. And I think, like, I saw that place as being our next, you know, memory special place. And that never came to fruition. And yeah, it's kind of sad in a way. I don't know. It's turned into a very mushy podcast. But
that's the whiskey, mate.
Yeah, it's the whiskey, mate.
Cool. So we round it up there? Do we think? It's a nice little note to round on, really.
I think so, mate. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, thank you for sticking with us. If you've stuck with us thus far, I really appreciate it. We've been going for Oh, getting on for 2 hours, like an hour and 45-ish. Yeah. So yeah, thank you for listening. Look, as always, we don't get any money by doing this. We're not sponsored anglers. We're not getting sponsored for this or anything. We're just doing it because we want to do it. We want to provide to you. It means the world to us when you leave a review. It really, really does. If it's a shit review and you want to tell us that we're shit, go do that. But get involved and let us know. Give us feedback. If you can, go to iTunes or whatever medium you're on and leave us a review. We really appreciate it. It means a lot to us. It really, really does. And indeed, if you have any suggestions about what we can cover and who can come on the podcast, because we would like to interview some people, please make the suggestions. We're open to suggestions, and we want to keep growing this and make it better and better so it's a more pleasurable experience for all of you listeners. So with that being said, Pete, do you have anything else you want to say before we sign off?
Just my apologies to anyone who's had to listen to my coughs for 2 hours. Next time, I promise to be better.
Yeah. Hope so.
Cool.
Bye,
Sam.
Peace out, folks. Thank you very much for listening, and we will speak to you very, very soon. Or we will engage with you very soon. Whatever. Stop recording. 3, 2, 1. Yeah. Bye-bye.